welcome to Beelieve Academy. I was just sitting on a couch and I had this idea to come and do this YouTube video for you guys because I think it's something that some people may need if you've never heard these tips before, or even if you are a mom or a teacher that has been teaching young children for a while. You still may need, just some refresher tips just to keep you going. Teaching young children is hard. Teaching your own young children is even harder. I was teaching for about 7 or 8 years, and I thought I was totally prepared rather for teaching and being a mom because I had been nurturing and caring for young children for so long. And even though you may feel that these children are yours, it is a totally different ballgame. When I was a teacher, I may have had, a couple of children that may have given me a run for my money, but for the most part, I had the captivation of 20 or 25 kids at one time by myself. I had assistants. I had wonderful assistants. I've had not so great assistants or co-teachers that I like to call them, because I believe that, we're on an even playing field. I'm not like here and they're here. We're equal, because without them, the classroom isn't going to run smooth. But that's a topic for another day. But me by myself, I was able to, keep behavior in check, especially while I was teaching and everything. But when I decided to teach during a pandemic, so this is the situation. I'm a new mom of a newborn that was born in February of 2020. And I had my 2-year-old at home and everything shut down. I had planned on going back to work. I hadn't planned on staying at home with a newborn and a 2-year-old. So that was, I don't even know how I was able to get through it within one piece with that. But I guess that's just God. Because that's where I was like, losing my mind. Derek, mommy's trying to talk to the people. So anyway, I had experience teaching, but teaching at home is a little bit different, because when you're at school, you're expected to behave a certain way. You set the boundaries, and once children, cross that threshold, they know, okay, this is what school is. At home, the boundaries get blurred, especially if you're at, if you don't have a designated space to teach, if you don't have a consistent schedule, or if your children are fighting for a screen time instead of teaching time. Those are some of the things that I encountered, even with my 2-year-old captivated his attention. Mommy's talking, Derek. Yeah, he's reading this story that has sounds in it. I'm glad he's reading, y'all. It's just the distraction when I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. So, teaching him at home, honestly, I felt like I learned so much during the 2 years that I've stayed at home with him. That, see what I mean? Your children will try you in ways that are unfathomable because they know your buttons. I'm not the scary teacher, I'm mom, so I don't have that same, Well, not that you want people to fear you, but it's a reverence, like like you do with the Lord. It's a respectful reverence that you have, and that's what I had with my students in the classroom. I had a respectful reverence, but at home I don't have that, unfortunately. I'm still a disciplinarian in a sense, but I'm still kind of. My sister calls me the marshmallow. I'm warm and soft or whatnot, which is really good traits for a teacher. But yeah, you still have to have that teacher mode, that okay, you got to get in line, okay? You got to do what I say. You got to get that in there. Okay, so I know this is how I talk in general. I go from one thing to the others, to this, to that. And, you know, some people get confused, but that's just how my whole family just talk. I'm originally from Jersey, and we talk fast and we talk all over each other. Now, yeah, it's so horrible. I do agree. But in the classroom, I try to have a little bit more of, you know, of a decorum, I guess you could say. I have an outline. So when I have an outline, I do a whole lot better. Right now, talking in front of you guys, I am totally winging it. I don't have a prompter. Maybe I should get one. Then that would keep me, you know, kind of like on task. All right, back to what I was saying before. So I was home with a little baby and a toddler that's like all over the place. And I said, you know what? I know this is home, but we're going to start learning and doing things at home. And I had actually left the classroom. Prior to that, I took a break from the classroom and decided to help run my family business. And that was a wonderful thing, because right after I left the classroom, I met my husband and we got married, and I got pregnant really quickly. So that was actually a good opportunity for me to start my family, because I was able to actually focus on them. When I was a teacher, that took up so much of my time, and I'm not complaining. I loved every minute of it, but you know, sometimes you can get burnt out, and I was burnt out. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I took work home. I got to work early. Even when I was out on dates, I would literally have papers and I was like grading them, like waiting at the table. It was a mess. Like I literally took grading papers out to restaurants and everything. You know, I have my teacher letters, and I'm, you know, tracing and cutting them out, you know, while I have family functions. Like I just was always working. I always had ideas going, and I just always kept trying to be the best teacher that I could be. And so it was a no-brainer that, you know, when my children got to the point that I felt they were ready to do more structured learning, I would be there for it. And I am there for it. But I decided that I still had this desire to still teach. Not that, you know, teaching your own children isn't fulfilling, but I felt that I was called to just teach more than just my children. I was called to teach, you know, everybody, or, you know, enough, you know, everyone that I can reach at least. You know, I want to make I don't know why my eyes are watering. Goodness gracious. I'm so passionate, I'm crying. No. Okay. But yeah, teaching is not something that, you know, came to me. I was called to do it. I kept trying to leave the classroom, and I keep getting pulled back. It's like a magnet, pulled back into the classroom. So this is obviously what I'm meant to do. Even a couple of months ago, my family was telling me, you know, you should go back to teaching. You should start, you know, a preschool. And so I was like, no, I don't know. And then, you know, one day it just hit me, like, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm glad. This is like the best decision that I ever made. But anyway, back to what I was talking about before. I am really tearing up, y'all. Okay. All right. So these are my tips on what works, and I found what doesn't work through trial and error. And even as a veteran teacher, what worked in the classroom, some of it does work at home, but you have to tweak it in a different way, because at home, like I said, you let your hair down, your boundaries are relaxed. So my first tip for teaching at home is to make sure that you do have boundaries, that you place that you learn, you know, even if it's at your kitchen table, your living room, on the, you know, the living room floor. Make sure that you pretty much learn at the same spot at the same time every day, because children, they crave consistency and stability. And once they have an idea of what's going on, it stops a lot of behavior problems. You know, children oftentimes they act out because they're in chaos. They don't know what to expect. So explain what you're doing before you do it. Hey, you know, we're going to do a story, and then after the story, we're going to, you know, do an art activity, or we're going to do a science activity. So always explain. And I know sometimes that's like the opposite of what we were taught. You know, we were taught, okay, children are seen and not heard, or do what I say, not as I do. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of time for people, that's like backwards. But I learned that children behave better when You explain things to them like, okay, don't touch the stove. Children gonna go touch the stove. But if you tell them, hey, it's hot, you explain to them, for the most part, some of them are not gonna touch the stove. Now you're gonna get those few that have to learn for themselves, like, okay, this stove is hot. But for the most part, if you explain like, hey, don't run in the street. Why don't run in the street? The cars are in the street. We make sure that our bodies are on the sidewalk so that the cars can pass and we don't get hit by the cars. And that's another thing. We try to speak in a more positive tone instead of using negatives, because when you say negatives, your brain is working double time. It has to translate it into a positive message. So it actually takes longer for a person, especially a child, to get the message of what you're saying. So instead of saying, hey, don't do that, say, hey, put your feet on the floor. Like Derek this morning, he felt comfortable to put his feet on top of the table while he was eating. And I said, hey, Derek, put your feet on the floor. Our feet belongs on the floor. Instead of saying, don't put your feet up there. Because then if you say that, they don't know what the alternative is. Now, to you, it might be a no-brainer. Like, okay, I don't put my feet on the table. I put my feet on the floor. But hey, what's the opposite of that? Tell them exactly what you want them to do. Once your child have clear expectations of what they will do, they'll behave better. All right. Going to tip number 2, consistent time that you're teaching. It doesn't have to be rigid, y'all. But, let's say, like in instance for today or in every day we teach here, we pretty much get started between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. This morning, it was 10:30, which is not a big difference. I swear, my son, he's almost 4. His appetite is just like picking up. So I started making breakfast at 9 o'clock and he just kept eating and eating off and on. Like, I'm not like all at the same time, but just taking a break, walking away, coming back, eating, mommy, I want more. And I'm like, okay, that literally lasted for like an hour and a half. I said, okay, because the first half an hour, he wasn't really paying attention to the food. He didn't really start eating until 9:30. And, I feel that happy bellies are, happy learners. So that's another thing. Make sure that your child is not hungry or sleepy, because they will not be very happy learners either. Do not plan any lessons around the time that they're hungry or sleepy, because they're not going to want to listen. The best times for literacy and science, more abstract ideas like social studies and things like that, in the morning time when you first wake up. Your brain is able to receive that information more. They're alert. When you're alert, you're able to learn more. In the afternoons when I taught, I do hands-on things, math, arts and crafts activities. Well, you can do arts and crafts activities anytime, but I typically do them in the afternoon after their nap when they're more energized and things like that. Sing a lot of songs. Songs are good ways for children to learn things, and it's also good for keeping a schedule. So when I was in the classroom, I had a song for everything. I had a circle time song. I had a song for cleaning up. I had a lunchtime song. I had a song for a good morning. I had a song for a good night. I had a song to come to the carpet, a song to wash your hands. It was a potty song. I literally had a song for everything. And I don't sing as much at home like I did in the classroom, but you can still apply that same idea to the house. Like we still have a circle time song. We still sing a good morning song. We still do learning songs, about the seasons, and we do the months of the year Macarena. We do the days of the week chant. So we do a lot of learning songs throughout the day, because it's less boring than taking a pointer and saying, hey, say this, say that. That's boring. Now, I did mention before about stability and keeping a consistent schedule and all that, but you can still teach the same things in a new and refreshing way. You don't have to still teach it in a boring, dry eye. See, do you remember him? I had a professor like that. And I literally was sitting in the front row and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm falling asleep. And that was the first time ever that I fell asleep in class, because he was just so boring. And it was like the last class of the day. It was a mess. And then on top of that, it was a class that I was the last class in my cohort that was going to take that class, and they were getting rid of it. So it was really a nonsense class. If you have a younger child and an older child, that could be very hard to try to teach both of them at the same time. So either you can modify an activity that both of them can do. For example, this past Easter, we did oval shape. So my older son, he pretty much knows the oval shape, but it's really good to still reinforce those things, because if you don't reinforce it and repeat that information, they'll lose it. So we did the oval shape. So both my 3-year-old and my 2-year-old, they did oval shapes, tracing it with their finger, and then I drew oval shaped eggs onto a paper. And so I drew 8 on DJ's paper and 8 on BJ's paper. On BJ, which is my 2-year-old, I told him to just match the color sticker. So I put one sticker in each egg, and he had to match the color. So had to put the green stickers with the green. So that activity is really good for fine motor and also for matching and sorting. Now, I did a sticker activity similar with Derek, but he instead had to count out the stickers and put it with the right number. So I wrote numbers 1 through 8 onto the paper, and then I put the number word so that he could start associating the number word along with the number. You want to create a print-rich environment for your child, so try to incorporate words whenever you can. Write their name everywhere. I write it on, their clothes on a piece of paper so that they can see it. In the classroom, I wrote on the back of their chair their name so it was also good because they knew exactly where to sit. And I did this with even 2-year-olds. And that's how they learned their name. That they recognize their name. They couldn't spell it, of course, but at least they know what their name looked like in print. So their name was on their cubbies, their name was on their chair, their name was on their spot on a rug. So their name literally was everywhere. Then also on their artwork. You saw their name on their artwork. And at home, I do the same thing. We have artwork in our classroom. We have it on our patio door, and we also have it on our refrigerator too. I want them to be proud of what they do, so I keep their art everywhere around the house so that they can see their name and then also, feel proud of their work. Right? Okay. That time is over. You can modify an activity at home where both of them can do it, or if you have a younger child, you can set them up with an activity first. You could, when Braylon was little, I used to set him up with a snack in his high chair, and I would keep him where I could see him. And then, but it was a little distance away so that he wasn't like grabbing at what, the other child was doing. Or I would set him up with something that, obviously you still have to supervise, but not like, anything that he couldn't hurt himself with, or like blocks, or I used to always do blocks. Like blocks was like my go-to, or like the thistle blocks that he can attach them to, or like links, or anything he can try to zip, or he couldn't button. Don't mess with my earrings, boy. Don't do that, boy. If you have an older child, you can give them busy bags or busy bins. Those are activities that you pre-plan ahead of time, like little printables or little like sensory bin activities, anything like that. You can set aside so they can pick one up and they know what to do. One tip is to hide their favorite toys so that you can bring them out during learning time, so that it's novel again, because once out of sight, out of mind, you bring it back. It's like, oh, I missed this. I want to play with it. So, give them something to motivate them and look forward to. Or they get the wiggles out. Like to do. All right, Terri, you want to jump up and down for me?
No.
Okay. That's okay. This is real life, y'all. So I have him. I'll say, Derek and Braylon, jump up and down, jump up and down. Jump up and down, Derek, Braylon, jump up and down. Now let's sit back down. So we'll take brain breaks and Go Noodle and Brain Pop and YouTube. All you have to do is Google brain breaks, and a whole lot of videos and stuff will come up, and it'll be opportunities for your child to take a mental break, which is very good. Oftentimes, if you take a mental break, have them jump up and down, do some type of physical activity, they're actually able to learn more because they're able to sit still. And I think neurologically, they're able to do more too. I don't know. I did read that somewhere. I don't think I'm making that up. But anyway, so before we do an activity, we'll do songs. Like we have a story time song. Hands go up and hands go down. I can turn myself around. I'm not going to turn around right now, but you get the picture. I can stand up on one shoe. I can listen. So can you. I can sit, and that's when they'll sit down. I can sit. I'll show you how. Story time is starting now. So that's one of my story time songs. With younger children, like 1, 2, I normally do open, shut them. Open, shut them, open, shut them. Give your hands a clap, clap, clap. You want to do it? Open, shut them. Lay them in your lap, lap, lap. Yay! Do not force it. I learned a lot from my child because he is not like any child that I ever taught before. He is, some people call it stubborn or willful or spirited. It's very good leadership qualities, but it was so hard to like get him to be interested in things that he wasn't interested in. I just had to, try to work around that, and I found different ways to work around that. Either me starting the activity by myself and he would be interested, like, oh, what are you doing? Or like I said, just starting to sing a song, or having it out, just laying the activity out, and he look over like, oh, what's that? So those are 3 ways that I get them interested. But if he's sleepy or hungry, or if he's just not into it, at this age, you can try it again another time, or you can try to modify it where it's a different version of the activity. And a lot of times when I kind of took my child's lead on an activity, the activity ended up being better, because I had his input. So I go by a child-led curriculum or child-led experience, because I do believe that you should be involved in your own learning. So nervous talking, and now I just feel like you guys are my friends. I have friends all around the world. Anyway, I'll speak to you next time. Bye.